What's up guys, for today's video, I will tell you a historical movie about an all-female warrior unit that protected the West African kingdom of Dahomey during the 17th to 19th century, as well as their one and only great female general, who became known as the Woman King. So, just relax out there, and let me tell you what happened in the movie. An opening crawl states that the kingdom of Dahomey has crowned a young king, whose name is Ghezo. Their enemies, the Oyo Empire, have teamed up with the Mahi people to capture Dahomey villages and sell them to European slave traders. Even though the Oyo have an advantage with their guns and horses, they aren't afraid of them, because they have a group of female elite warriors, called the Agojie, that's set to protect their kingdom. And they are also led by General Nanisca, who are known for her bravery and incomparable strength in battle. In one evening, General Nanisca, together with the Agojie, have infiltrated the Mahi village and slaughtered their soldiers, before coming across the captured villages and freeing them. When the morning comes, the Agojie mourn their dead members and escort the captives back home. After that, they return home before the Oyo men arrives at Mahi village. Meanwhile, a young woman, named Nawi, is arranged by her family to marry a man who looks 5 times older than her. When Nawi doesn't respond to the man, he suddenly slaps her, and she responds by pushing him hard enough for him to fall over. Because of that, the old man was angered and refuses to marry her. Then, Nawi's father brings her to the Agojie and offers her to the king. So she's taken in an escort by an Agojie soldier named Agojie. In another instance, the Oyo soldiers, led by General Oba, have come across the corpses of their comrades. Then, the general insults them for letting their fellow soldiers get murdered by women. In Dahomey, King Ghezo addresses his council to discuss the Oyo's threat. Then, Nanisca brings up the issue of slave trading, and says it casts a dark shadow on their kingdom to be selling off their own people. So she proposed to abolish it, and she says that they need to rely on gold or palm oil for trading. But the king tells Nanisca to show him how much palm oil they can produce before he makes his decision. In the woman camp, Nanisca and her right-hand woman, named Amenza, addresses the new Agojie recruits. They tells them that they will fight and potentially die for their kingdom, so they will not force anyone to join, and they will allow anyone who wants to leave. Unfortunately, several women leave, but a large group, including Nawi, choose to stay. After that, the new recruits begin their training, but Nawi does not understand why they begin with ropes. She says that they should start with a bladed weapon. Because of what she said, Nanisca allows her to try her sword in a wood statue to decapitate it. The sword is too heavy for Nawi, but Nanisca chops the head off with one swing. At night, Agojie speaks to Nawi and talks about how her mother allowed men to abuse her until she fought back. The other day, Nawi plays a prank where she sets off a small explosive on one of the statues, and when Nanisca asks them who did it, she takes the blame for it, as Nanisca chastises her for what she did. Later on, Agojie tells Nawi about how Nanisca's deeds are considered legendary, since she rose up to her ranks after being captive for too long by the Oyo men. Meanwhile, Amenza visits Nanisca, who's having a nightmare in her hut. Then she tells her, using special nuts, that she sees somebody from Nanisca's past coming back for her. When she goes outside, Nanisca sees Nawi and watches her as she practices her sword-wielding skills on one of the statues. After that scene, the Oyo men arrive at the kingdom's gates for a confrontation with King Ghezo. When Oba steps forward, Nanisca becomes horrified because she remembered the time as Oba raped her repeatedly when she was a captive of them. Then they order tributes and demand 40 Agojie warriors, but the king said to them that he will only give them 20 Agojie. Later on, a Portuguese settlers, led by Captain Santo Ferreira, and his friend Malik have arrived at Africa, and when Malik sees the captured natives, he feels horrified for them. Then, Nanisca and the Agojie have arrived at the gates of Oyo Empire, and there, she says that they will not give them tributes, and instead they delivers to Oba the severed heads of his men. So, a fight breaks out, and Nanisca ordered the Agojie to proceed from their plan, but Nawi did not obey her order, and choose to stay with her to fight. After they escaped, Nanisca scolded Nawi out for it, but Amenza privately tells Nanisca that it was her who deviated from the plan, as she was more concerned to kill Oba. After the commotion, Ferreira and Malik meet with Oba and his soldiers. As they are discussing plans for the Oyo to team up with other tribes, to invade Dahomey and capture more villages to sell off, Malik appears uncomfortable with the news. So he later goes by the water to bathe, where he is found nude by Nawi. Then, she accuses him of being a slave trader, but he denies it and tells her about his Dahomey heritage, and also tell her that his mother is a Dahomey people. After that, he gives her a piece of jewelry before she retreats back to the others. Then later on, the kingdom holds a small tournament, where the Agojie trainees go through an obstacle course involving thorn bushes, climbing a wall, fighting enemies, and finally decapitating one of the statues. Nawi comes out as the victor, and Ghezo acknowledge her skills and talent. While tending to Nawi's wounds, Nanisca feels something on the girl's arm, and asks her what is it. Then she said that she had that scar since she was just a little girl. After that, Nanisca goes back to her room, and Amenza followed her. Inside the room, she asks Amenza about the child that she had given birth long ago, because she is beginning to suspect that Nawi might be that child, and Amenza tells her that she let the child to be adopted by a family. In another instance, Ferreira and Malik visited the kingdom of Dahomey. Then Ferreira speaks to King Ghezo about his plans to potentially cease Dahomey's part in the slave trading, telling him that his riches come from the slaves, and without them, his kingdom would be nothing and unprotected. But the king did not agree on what he said, and he retorts that if the Europeans are no longer of use to him, then they are also unprotected. At night, Nawi and Malik speaks in secret, then Malik tells her that the Oyo Empire are planning to attack them, and he asks her to come with him, so that she can escape from any danger that is to come, but she refuses him, and said that she will not abandon her people. Before they separated, Nawi gave him a totem to keep him safe. When he says that he has nothing to give her, she simply takes one of his knives. Nawi immediately tells to Nanisca about what Malik said, but she only chastises her for sneaking out for Malik. After arguing, Nanisca approaches Nawi and tells her about the baby she gave up, and tells her that the baby must be her. She also tells that she was a product of rape, and Amenza helped Nanisca hide her and give her away. Nanisca remembers cutting the child's left arm and sticking a shark tooth in it. Then, Nanisca cuts into Nawi's arm and pulls out the tooth, confirming that Nawi is indeed her daughter, and as well as the daughter of Oba. But Nawi leaves and cannot believe what she said. The following morning, Nanisca and some of her soldiers keep an eye on the Oyo camp. Then, they set fire using gunpowder and cause multiple explosions, scaring the Oyo's horses away, and leaving them vulnerable. At the same time, they launch an attack, leading to a fierce and bloody battle that leaves many Oyo and Agojie soldiers dead, and leads to some of the women, including Agojie and Nawi, to get captured. On a wagon heading away, Nawi finds out her friend's bind have come loose, and she encourages her to roll off the cart and run back to Dahomey. And while being captive, Nawi helps Agojie to fix her broken arm. Later on, Nawi's friend, who escapes successfully, returns to Dahomey and informs Nanisca about the Oyo's plan to retaliate against the Agojie. She also tells her that Agojie and Nawi have captured by the Oyo. Meanwhile, King Ghezo promotes Nanisca, but forbids her from acting any further. But she disobeys him, and together with Amenza and some of the soldiers including the Agojie, they goes to Oyo Empire to rescue the captives. When the European slave traders have come for the captives, Agojie and Nawi try to escape and initiate a fight against them, but unfortunately, Agojie is fatally shot and dies in Nawi's arms. After that, Oba asked Malik if he wants to buy Nawi, so he agreed and paid for Nawi's right. Then he brought Nawi to his room and asked her to go with him to England. When Nanisca and the others arrived, they'd attack the Europeans and Oyo's camp. They also set fire and kill the enemy before freeing the captives. Then, Malik turns on Ferreira and frees the captives, causing them to drag him into the water, where they beat him and hold his head underwater until he drowns. Nawi sees what's happening outside, so she immediately runs to help them. Later on, Nanisca finally goes to face off against Oba, the man who she wants to kill the most. They fought hard with all their might, and finally, after their fierce battle, she lands a killing blow to Oda, which caused him to die by her sword. After that bloody battle, they've returned home with their captives. And in front of many people, Nanisca is confronted by King Ghezo for disobeying his order. Then, he thanks her for ending the slave trading, as well as the Oyo Empire, and he officially promotes her, and gave her the title of the Woman King. After that, Nawi goes to pay tribute to Agojie, and she is joined by Nanisca. She then addresses Nawi as her daughter, and the two of them join the others to dance in celebration. And that's the end of the story of the great female warriors that protected the West African kingdom of Dahomey, as well as the one and only woman king. Thank you for watching, guys. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. See you in our next movie recap.